Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're picking right up from part 2, where we dug into foundational skills and tackled that big degree question. If you remember, our core thesis from that session was basically this. Adopting a portfolio-first mindset is absolutely your golden ticket to breaking into the data science industry. So today, we're going to take that exact concept and map it out onto a highly specific, totally actionable timeline for your next year.
Okay, so here's our quick blueprint for today. First, we'll hit the portfolio-first approach. Then, we'll break down the 4 phases over 12 months. After that, we'll look at what actually gets you hired. Then, we'll dive into the end-to-end project, and finally, we'll preview what's up next, which is salary progression.
All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, the portfolio-first approach, and why you need to shift your focus.
Look, the days of just passively binge-watching tutorials, guessing your way through multiple-choice quizzes, and expecting a 6-figure job to just, magically fall into your lap, those days are over. Literally, a certificate just proves you know how to hit play on a video. But a portfolio, that proves you can actually do the job. So moving forward, your time, your energy, and your focus absolutely must be entirely redirected toward building real things.
That brings us to Section 2, 4 phases over 12 months. Let's look at the blueprint.
Now, what's really great about this is how it takes this massive, honestly kind of daunting one-year goal and completely demystifies it into 4 super manageable 3-month phases. You aren't trying to learn the whole universe at once. Instead, you're giving yourself a dedicated quarter of the year to just lock in on one specific stage of development. And trust me, this is exactly how you avoid burnout while keeping up that constant, measurable forward momentum.
So, across these 12 months, you're going to methodically progress from the absolute basics all the way to advanced techniques. But I want you to notice the constant theme here. Your focus stays strictly on actionable output. During these phases, you aren't just sitting there reading textbooks. You're actively translating theory into practice. Like, say you learn a concept like random forests. Well, you're going to immediately apply it to a messy, real-world data set. Because honestly, that consistent, hands-on application, that is where the real learning actually happens.
The single most important metric on this entire roadmap is the number 4. Why? Well, because if you follow this 12-month timeline correctly and really dedicate yourself to those 3-month blocks, each of those 4 phases is going to yield exactly 1 finished piece for your portfolio. By the end of the year, you'll have 4 distinct, highly polished projects to hand right to a hiring manager. You are rushing around trying to build 10 mediocre projects, right? You are carefully crafting 4 absolutely exceptional ones.
But hold on a second. Let's hit pause and interrupt this timeline for a bit of a hard reality check. We can sit here and talk about learning phases all day long, but at the end of the day, you're watching this explainer because you want a job. So what is it that recruiters in the US are actually looking for right now? What's the secret sauce that separates the applicant who gets the interview from the one who gets that awful automated rejection email?
Let's get into Section 3. What actually gets you hired in the reality of the market?
Here's the blunt truth. Course certificates hold incredibly low value to a hiring manager today. But deployed models, those are worth their weight in gold. We really have to stop wasting time trying to be the hero of online tutorials, where the data is always perfectly pristine and the answers are basically spoon-fed to you. Instead, we need to start being the hero of messy, real-world model deployment, because that is exactly where your true value lies.
To actually get hired in today's super competitive US market, you specifically need 3 to 4 of these deployed projects sitting in your portfolio. And guys, this isn't just some random guess. This is the exact threshold that proves your competence. Think about it. Having just one project might look like a fluke, or maybe you just copied a YouTube tutorial step by step. But having 3 to 4 robust, working projects, that proves you have a repeatable, reliable process. It proves you're professional.
Moving right along to Section 4, the end-to-end project. And let's actually demystify what that term means.
You hear the phrase end-to-end thrown around a lot, so let's break it down. An end-to-end project means you aren't just training a model in some isolated offline Jupyter notebook on your laptop. A lot of beginners stop right there, and let me tell you, that is a massive mistake. End-to-end means you're taking a concept from absolute scratch, acquiring the raw data yourself, building the model, and taking the whole shebang all the way to a live, web-facing format, like through an API or a framework like Streamlit that literally anyone can access.
This whole process builds across 3 completely non-negotiable steps. Step 1 is raw data collection. We're talking about scraping messy information right off the web, not just downloading some pre-cleaned academic CSV file. Step 2 is model training, which is where you actually get to apply your fancy machine learning algorithms. And finally, step 3 is live deployment. This means putting that model on a cloud server, like AWS, with a simple interface, so anyone in the world can jump on and interact with it. This step-by-step flow shows hiring managers exactly what they want to see, that you can independently handle the entire life cycle of the data.
So why does this matter so much? Well, because in a real corporate environment, data is never just handed to you wrapped up in a nice little bow. Never. When you can successfully demonstrate this entire life cycle, from the chaotic, messy beginning all the way to the functional, deployed end, you instantly separate yourself from the thousands of other applicants who only have theoretical knowledge. You immediately transition from being just a student to being a genuine problem solver.
And that brings us to Section 5. Up next, salary progression and preparing for the final step.
In Part 4, which is going to be our final explainer in this series, we're going to detail your exact salary progression from entry-level up to senior roles, specifically in US dollars. We'll look at exactly what you can expect to earn as you leverage this portfolio for strategy. Plus, we'll outline your immediate concrete next steps to officially launch that job hunt once your 4 projects are fully deployed. It's going to be a big one.
But until then, I want to leave you with this final, critical thought to chew on today. Are you ready to finally abandon the comfort of those step-by-step tutorials and step into the messy but incredibly rewarding reality of building your future? The roadmap is literally right in front of you. It's time to start building. I'll catch you in Part 4.
Welcome back. We've finally made it to the grand finale of our Data Science Roadmap 2026 Explainer. We've mapped out the industry landscape, we've laid down those crucial technical foundations, and we built a timeline for crafting a standout portfolio. So today we arrive at the actual destination. We're going to reveal the ultimate financial payoff of this entire journey, detailing exactly what your hard work is worth out there in the US market. All right, let's dive right into this. Before we look at a single number, though, you got to remember the core lesson from Part 3. Your completed portfolio is the absolute key that unlocks these top-tier salary numbers. Literally, it's the master key. No one is getting handed a 6-figure compensation package just because they finished a tutorial, right? These numbers are strictly reserved for those who can unequivocally prove their value through real deployed projects. So let's look at the complete salary ladder. Understanding this transparent, numbers-driven climb from entry-level all the way up to principal, it really sets your expectations and gives you a highly tangible target for every single stage of your career. Breaking down the overarching landscape of data science compensation, well, the starting point at the entry level is already incredibly healthy, spanning from $85,000 to $130,000. But just look at what happens as you transition through mid, senior, and eventually principal roles. We're not just talking about incremental cost of living raises here. We're looking at aggressive, compounding leaps in your baseline compensation as your strategic value to a company skyrockets. Visualizing the maximum potential of those first 3 stages shows a really striking progression. Notice how quickly that ceiling rises. It aggressively rockets toward the $250,000 mark for those senior roles. Data science is absolutely not a field where you plateau early, for sure. Let's isolate those peak earning potentials for a second. We're going to take a rapid-fire look at the absolute maximums for each stage, just so you can see the ultimate reward for mastering each phase of this roadmap. $130,000. That top-end entry-level salary highlights exactly what a highly prepared junior data scientist can achieve right out of the gate, assuming they bring a high-impact portfolio to the table. $180,000. Now, at the mid-level, you aren't just cleaning data anymore. You're independently deploying models and answering really complex business questions. This number right here, that's the reward for proving your track record. $260,000 and beyond. We are now officially entering elite compensation territory for senior roles. When you hit this level, you're designing data architectures, you're mentoring the juniors, and you're steering the entire technical strategy of your company. And finally, the summit, $280,000 and above. This lead and principal peak is reserved for individuals who are, quite literally, redefining how a company operates at scale using machine learning. Now, I want to slow the pacing down for just a second here. While those peak numbers are incredibly exciting, I really want to isolate the most crucial and arguably the most lucrative transition in a data scientist's entire career. It's the massive leap from a mid-level contributor to a senior leader. Think about the financial dynamics of this specific transition.
When you move from a mid-level role where your ceiling caps out around $180,000 into a senior level role, the entire landscape changes. The floor for a senior role is remarkably high, and the ceiling pushes well past $250,000. The stark difference in market value here is because, well, companies are no longer just paying you for your coding skills. They're paying for your judgment, your leadership, and your ability to generate immense revenue through data. According to the 2026 data, this promotion comes with a starting range jump of $30,000. Just landing that title bump immediately injects a substantial upgrade to your baseline compensation. But wait, that's just the starting range of the bump. The upper end of this mid to senior salary leap stretches all the way to $60,000. Yes, you heard that right. That is a $30,000 to $60,000 jump specifically waiting for those who bridge the gap from mid to senior. This single promotion is often life-changing, basically proving that refining your business acumen pays off exponentially. So moving into the 2026 master recap. This financial upside is incredibly real, but it requires a very structured approach to actually get there. Let's synthesize everything we've covered into one cohesive playbook. We've compressed our whole 4-part journey into this exact blueprint. Step 1, navigating the landscape and roles. Step 2, building core foundational skills. Step 3, constructing a timeline and portfolio. And finally, Step 4, scaling the salary ladder. First, you lock in your target, then you build the undeniable technical foundations, you translate that theory into a hard-hitting portfolio, and then you leverage it to scale up that ladder. This is your personal playbook. I want you to picture yourself executing this path. You aren't guessing anymore. You have relentless focus on the exact right tools, and you're building projects that solve actual business problems. This isn't just theory. This is the proven blueprint for 2026. Understand the market, master the tools, prove your expertise, and reap the rewards. Which brings us to your definitive next step, arguably the most important moment of this entire explainer. You have the roadmap. You've seen the unbelievable financial ceilings. You understand the required skills. Now it all comes down to execution. Here is your one singular, undeniable action to take immediately after this explainer ends. Open your code editor and start building your very first portfolio project today. Do not wait for tomorrow. Do not wait until you quote-unquote feel ready. The immense value of your portfolio is the engine that drives this entire career progression. Start small. Clean a dataset. Run a basic regression. Just get started right now. We've laid it all out on the table for you. The 2026 roadmap is crystal clear, and the financial upside is life-changing. But remember, the market doesn't pay for potential. It pays for proof. The numbers are waiting for you out there, so the only question is, will your portfolio be ready to claim them?